Oh, we'll just go to the Medicaid office and get answers. They'll help us save our money. Oh my God, that's like going to the IRS and saying, here, help us do our taxes. Hi, Jeff Mersace, the Plain English Attorney, and welcome to the video. Today we are going to talk about 10 Medicaid myths that can be financially fatal to your plan. This is being released in January 2024, and unfortunately I've seen this trend happen. I don't know if there's any statistics behind it, but it certainly has increased the calls coming into my office. It's when the kids who live out of state end up coming home for the holidays. Maybe they saw a little bit of this around Thanksgiving, or maybe it's just when they come in around that Christmas time and other holidays where the parents no longer are in the area where the kids are, or the kids have gone off and they've got their own lives and they're doing their own thing. And so maybe they talk on the phone with the parents, maybe even some video calls, but they're not seeing a huge problem that's been developing over the course of about a year. And now they find out mom and dad are really doing some things that look forgetful. A couple of things that I had talked about in the past and seen some studies on, and signs of early dementia. Son came into mom's house and saw that the pantry was loaded with more than 100 pounds of potatoes. It's like, why does she do this? It's not like she bought them all at once. What she did was she went to the store and she was like, oh yeah, I need to buy potatoes. And then she gets back, oh, I've already got a bag of potatoes. A couple days later, goes to the grocery store. Oh, that's right, I need potatoes. And she hasn't used any. And she gets another bag. And it's like, oh, well, I've already got, okay, fine. They just throw it in the pantry, and it just keeps going and going. And it's these early warning signs. Mail stacked up on the table, unaddressed. The bills are behind by several months, and it's because they're having some comprehension issues. This is the time of the year that they start seeing things, and when they start looking at what is the cost going to be for nursing home care, and it's like, wow, it's going to be like $10,000 a month if we get to that point where they need skilled nursing care 24/7. It's going to be more than $10,000 a month or more. If you think it's important for educational videos like this to get out there, then please help us out by subscribing to the channel. So this is when they start looking at what are the options, and they come across all of these Medicaid myths, and they go, oh, well, it's easy. I can just do this. And they don't realize the traps that are out there with these Medicaid myths that keep popping up. So myth number one that can be financially fatal: just give everything to the kids and then apply for Medicaid. Big mistake. Now, the reason this is such a big mistake is there is a 5-year look-back period. So with a 5-year look-back period, this means that Medicaid is going to take a look what gifts were given. They're going to want copies of bank statements and other records to accompany a Medicaid application to make sure you haven't gotten and given all your stuff away just before applying for Medicaid, or indeed within that last 5-year period. That's when Medicaid just denies the application. Medicaid doesn't confiscate the money. What they do is they just say, no, you're not eligible. And now suddenly here's this filed application that's been denied, and it actually becomes a lot harder to undo things at that point. Second big Medicaid myth that's out there is, well, hey, the accountant said that $18,000 gifts are okay. Or maybe you heard 17 or 16 or 15,000. It's indexed, and right now it is at $18,000 in 2024. The accountant said it's okay. No, that is absolutely wrong. The problem is that $18,000 gifts to as many individuals as you want is perfectly fine without having to report it on a gift tax filing with the IRS. And your state may have gift tax filings, and they may have that limit or a different limit. This is all about taxes. It has nothing to do with Medicaid. Believe me, Medicaid really does care about those $18,000 gifts that you're giving away. Just because it's exempt from a gift tax filing doesn't mean that it's exempt for Medicaid purposes. Believe me, they care, and people have gotten caught in this trap many, many times, and it's just been financially devastating. Okay, so before we get to the third one, I'm just going to mention that we do have a couple of webinars. You can go ahead to plainenglishattorney.com and see all of these free webinars up. But we have a very specific Medicaid crash course, and we're going to put a coupon code somewhere in this video. So just keep watching, and that coupon code is going to give you 60% off during the year 2024. If it's after 2024, check the description. We might have updated it, or we might have another video for this. So this Medicaid crash course will run through a lot of the rules that I've been talking about in a lot more detail so you can thoroughly understand it. And believe me, when you're talking about $10,000 a month, this could be the best investment you can make, is to just understand the rules. And the fact is, if you understand the rules, you can win the game. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. Congress made these rules so complex and convoluted that they are counting on most people just throwing up their hands and not keeping what they're allowed to keep within the family because of the frustration factor. All right, so third Medicaid myth that we've got. Oh, well, look, if I can't give things away to the kids, I can just sell my house to them for $10. No. Any kind of transfer like that is going to be scrutinized by Medicaid. So if your house is worth $400,000 and you sell it to your kids for $10, that means Medicaid is going to treat it as a gift of $399,990, and you're going to have an accompanying penalty period, which is going to mean you're not going to get your Medicaid for many, many months, in fact, years. So how does that penalty period work? Again, it's in that crash course, but just the very brief overview. The Medicaid office in your particular state or jurisdiction is going to have a value that they place on 1 month worth of care. And for every dollar that you have given away, they're going to divide it by that, and that's going to give you how many months you're ineligible to receive Medicaid because of that gift. Again, the course has a lot more on that document, on the exact numbers and how all of that works. All right, so what is the fourth big Medicaid myth? Unfortunately, you see this all the time, and people think, oh, well, it's easy. My barista's neighbor's second cousin's spouse did this for her parents, and therefore we should do exactly that. No. Every situation is different because no two families are going to have exactly the same resources and exactly the same things with the exact same health condition, with the exact same circumstance. It's just not going to happen. And so if you're just trying to copy what someone else did, you're very likely going to get denied by the Medicaid office. And if then you go to a professional to help you out, they can then list off the 5 reasons why it didn't work and how you screwed up. But at that point, the damage may already be done. It's always best to get this thing mapped out ahead of time and make sure that you're taking the right course of action the first time. All right, so what is the fifth thing, the fifth Medicaid myth? There actually is a kernel of truth to this, but it is financially fatal to the family, and that's, oh, well, I was told I can keep my house and still get Medicaid for nursing home care. Oh, sure, of course you can. Medicaid lets you do that, but what they don't tell you when you're doing that application and you're keeping your house, Medicaid gets to put a lien against your house after you're gone, and the family loses the house anyway. Now, there are lots of different techniques and things that can be done in a comprehensive plan to make sure that you don't lose the house And these techniques do vary state to state because the Medicaid rules within each state can have slightly different things and slightly different strategies that can work. This is why it's important to work with a certified Medicaid planner or an attorney that does Medicaid planning to make sure that you're taking the right course of action in your state or jurisdiction. In some of the free webinars that I put on with Medicaid planning and some of the live streams that I go through, there's a technique in North Carolina that works very, very well, but it does not work in most states. Each state is different. All right, so what is the next one? The sixth one. Oh, I can put all of my assets into a Medicaid qualified trust, and then I can immediately go and apply for Medicaid because it's a Medicaid qualified trust. And I see people try to do this. They go down, they download some template from the internet, they put their assets in, apply for Medicaid, and then Medicaid rips them a new one. It's the same as if you just gave everything to the kids and then applied for Medicaid. You've got that 5-year look back period. So no, that absolutely does not work. Now, you can have Medicaid trusts. In fact, we do have what we call the 2-trust solution. I talk about it at least in one of the 2 free webinars, and it's definitely in the course, where you can set up irrevocable trusts, move assets the right way, and after 5 years, you qualify. And there are some techniques where we can actually filter the money through and have you qualified without violating the rules. But again, just getting a, quote, Medicaid-friendly trust and throwing your assets into it doesn't mean you get to apply for Medicaid right away. There's still that 5-year look-back period because of those transfers. All right, so what is the 7th one? And this is a big one, and it's deadly. Oh, we'll just go to the Medicaid office and get answers. They'll help us save our money. Oh my God, that's like going to the IRS and saying, here, help us do our taxes. They're not going to help you save the most money. They absolutely aren't. They're going to, at the Medicaid office, they're going to show you how to spend down every single penny. And in a couple of cases I've seen, they're even going to put the family into debt before they take over. I had one client, and it was a client and his son, and it was the mom who needed care. I said, okay, here's what we can do. Here's this, and we're going to work on this, and here's what it costs. Oh, okay, we'll get back to you. They come back about a year later and say, hey, we were told we need a Medicaid-friendly annuity. Can you help us with that? I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Let's take a look at the whole thing. They had gone to the Medicaid office, and they gave them their plan for free, which included spending everything down, taking out a line of credit on the house to pay medical debt for the wife, and then said, well, she's still got this IRA. You need to set up a Medicaid-friendly annuity. The thing is, the IRA would go to, the payments would go to her, which would be to pay for her care, and Medicaid picks up the difference. So no, the Medicaid caseworker is not your friend. In a lot of cases, they're going to make you spend every single penny. And in fact, like in this case, go into debt. They're not going to help you save the most money because that's not their job. In fact, they could very well get fired for showing you some of the tricks that Medicaid planning attorneys and certified Medicaid planners can show you and work with you to do. They would get fired because now they're actually getting the government to pay for it, which is what the government should, but they can't tell you how to do that. All right, so now we've got the 8th thing, the 8th big Medicaid myth. If you don't have 5 years to plan, there's nothing you can do. And that is simply not true. As I mentioned, every state has and jurisdiction has different rules, but there are plenty of ways. And this is a North Carolina one. So if you're in another state, don't say, oh, well, I can just run and do this. Well, the kids can actually purchase a portion of the house and own it with their parents as joint with the right of survivorship. And this, it comes under 2 Medicaid rules. One is if it's co-owned with someone other than a spouse, Medicaid does not review it. It doesn't look at it as an asset that you can actually sell in order to take care of paying for Medicaid. And in North Carolina, that right of survivorship means that the kids get the house and Medicaid can't put a lien on it. Now, again, big warning, other states do it differently. So if 3 kids each own 1% and the parents still own 97%, in some of these other states, Medicaid can put a lien on the house for 97% of the value. But this is a technique that works in our state. And there are plenty of other techniques that work in other states as well. All right, so what is the 9th big Medicaid myth? Oh, you know what? I'm just going to go to the bank and withdraw all my money, and I'm going to bury it in the backyard. Medicaid will never know. Yes, they'll know. Oh, how are they going to know? Do they have cameras on me 24/7? No, they'll know. Well, wait a minute. This is cash. How can that? Look, they're going to know. Well, how are they going to know? Because they're going to see the withdrawals in the 5 years of bank statements that they're going to request and get in order to see, did you give away any money? And if they see you pulled out all your money as cash, not only are you going to get denied, but whoever signed that Medicaid application under penalties of perjury, they're the ones who could be guilty of Medicaid fraud and prosecuted for it. Don't try to play this, oh, well, Medicaid will never know. You're risking quite a bit, not just your financial future, but whoever signed that Medicaid application under penalties of perjury, they could be risking jail. All right, so what is the 10th big thing? And we're going to have a bonus. The 10th big thing is the longest penalty period is 5 years. No. Remember when I explained the penalty period? It's whatever the amount of gifts is divided by what the state says 1 month of Medicaid is, gives you and equals the number of months that you're disqualified. That's not limited to 60 months, meaning 5 years. So if you actually gave away enough in assets and applied for Medicaid before that 5-year period was up, and it comes out, that number comes out to 90, then you're ineligible for 90 months. So that penalty period can actually go longer than 5 years. And everybody says, well, why would you apply until after 5 years? Well, exactly. But people do this. A gentleman that came to me after the fact because he knew everything. He knew the rules, and his sisters and the parents were okay, fine. Well, actually, it was mom. Dad had passed on, and so he laid out, here's exactly what we can do. And the other thing that he screwed up on is he factored in that in his calculations and spreadsheets and whatever that, well, mom can gift each of the 3 kids and their spouses X number of dollars per year to get to that end of the 5-year period. And at 4 years and 10 months, he put in the application for mom, because he heard that Medicaid office typically takes 2 months to process an application. No, the rule he didn't know was the clock starts ticking and going back 5 years from the date you put in the application, not when they would have approved it. And so mom ended up with, it was something ridiculous, like 73, 74, 75 months worth of ineligibility because of these gifts and that those annual gifts as well, and it was much more than those 5 years. All right, so what is the bonus one? The other Medicaid myth, and it's much more of a mentality than a myth. That's why I didn't put it in and say we have 11 myths. It's this mentality that we shouldn't hire any professionals. We need to scale back on everything that's being spent because we need to preserve this cash in order to pay for care. Well, that's crazy. That's like being told, hey, here's an accountant. They're going to cost you $500 to do your taxes this year, but they're going to save you $8,000. Whoa, no. We're not going to, we can't do that. We've got to preserve that $500 in cash. We'll either do it ourselves or not even file. No. When you get the professionals involved who understand things like certified Medicaid planners and attorneys that understand Medicaid planning, they're the ones who can save you well in excess of whatever you're paying for. That's just the way it is. They're the professionals who know and understand the rules and can come up with a strategy to help the family save as much money as possible. Saying we're not going to pay this because these expenses are coming is just ridiculous. But it's a type of panic that comes over, and it's just stuns people into inaction, and it really, really, really shouldn't. Because the only way to address a problem like this is to face it head on, get the right people to help you, and save as much money as possible for the family while still getting them the care that they need. So thank you for watching and going through the whole video. As I mentioned, there is a coupon code in here to get 60% off the Medicaid crash course. So we're going to have that link in the description as well as below in the video. So as I always tell my clients, look, please stay safe, plan ahead, and enjoy life. And whatever you do today, make it a great day.